OG fam and first time fam, welcome to another edition of Man to Man. I'm David Wazicki, your favorite certified transformational nutrition coach, and today we are back with yet another fantastic guest, somebody a bit closer and personal for me out here in these LA streets. He's an amazing comedian, amazing actor, producer. He's been in the game close to like 20 years, I think. Last time I checked the IMDb, if he's updated it. And he's probably best known for his role on Superior Donuts on CBS, the film Sorry to Bother You, which has one of my favorite scenes of all time with Lakeith Stanfield. He played Lavelle in Coming to America, the sequel. His latest project, he stars as Manny in the Hulu original series that dropped, now streaming. Please give it up for my guy, the one, the only, the Jermaine Fowler. What's up, my brother?
Yeah.
Yay! Dun, 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 dun.
Reggaeton horns. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
All
20
day.
years? It hasn't been. It's 20 damn years. I didn't even realize that.
Let's get in there. Let's get in there. I think our researcher
No, yeah, you're
says
right. I thought I was
16, 17.
Yeah. No, I started. I was 17 years old. I am 34. That is, you round that off. That's 20.
Let's go for 20 in COVID years.
Yeah, does COVID count? Because I wasn't doing shit for the past year.
We stretch it out.
That's crazy.
Stretch it out.
Wow,
That's wild, man.
I'm a little speechless about that.
Do you feel like? Cool. Do you now feel like an OG in the game, or nah?
People make me feel like that, but I don't feel like that.
Yeah,
which is good. I guess. I just feel like there's still like an immense amount of about this I haven't learned yet. So I think they say when you hit 20, that's when you start figuring it out. You're just like, oh, which is so cool.
Yeah,
and something to look forward to. But damn, it's still weird. I remember the day I wanted to do comedy, the day I decided that I wanted to pursue stand-up comedy, and the day I wanted to be an actor. It just feels so. It's just. Well, I'll never forget it.
Why? All right. I want to ask you that. I definitely want to talk about that. So we're going to put a pin in that because we got to start, as we always start, with every man who has come through the halls of the Man to Man show and ask you our one Man to Man blue check certified question. And no man has yet to give the same answer. I'm hoping you'll be in your uniqueness here. No pressure. But you ready?
Yeah.
What does masculinity mean to you?
I guess I've never really thought about masculinity. I am a man. I don't really know or think I care about the definition. You know, I'm super comfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
I don't overthink it. I'm a man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know without, with all due respect to the question, of course, and the dudes out there, but I'm me, and I try to not think about it too much. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't know. It's a very complex question because it can mean so many things to so many people, and it doesn't have to, because it should just be that's me. I should, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Nah, I mean, that's the answer. That's the answer. So, one, you passed. You're good. Unique answer. Box checked.
You know, it's funny. I never, in my 34 years of being a boy and then a man, you know, I just never been asked that question, and I've never cared about that. Never cared about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's funny. That's really funny. Never came up till today.
Interesting. And so even you being a father of two, an amazing set of kids, beautiful girl, beautiful boy, who I've had the pleasure of saying hi to many a times during school pickups and drop-offs. Um, that still never came up. Even as you look at having one of each, I guess.
Being a father is different because you want to take your experiences, your mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
what you've learned, and pass it on to them.
Yeah.
Uh, from my daughter to my son. My daughter, let's start with my son. My son's he's very brutish, and I want to help him find another side of himself to convey and to to communicate
Hmm.
because he can get aggressive, and so I want to help him find the another way of um, just expressing you know what he wants to how he feels so that's important to me. And then my daughter, just preparing her for what she might encounter in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
As far as the people she might meet, um, the people that might, you know, just people in general. I think that's what one of the number one things a parent should help their kids with is just prepping them for what's to come. You know, so that's what I try to do with both my kids. And I can only do it from my experience. I can only speak from my experience, and I can only
Right.
guide them through what I've seen and what I've done. So
Yeah.
that's really it. And I can only come from this side of the equation as far as me being a dude and all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah, that's it. Being a dad actually helped kind of gave me a sense of purpose as far as like what it meant to be a dude, be a man. So
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, I know that. I know that. I'm gonna help him with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Well, since we're on early days with your children, let's pivot back to your early days
Mhm.
with starting with stand up. So yeah, I have a note that there was something that happened once upon a time in high school and you got encouraged about doing comedy. Is that right? And doing something at a talent show. Do I have these?
I remember. hmm
Uh-huh.
I did a talent show after school, and I wanted to do stand up comedy. And one of the jokes I did, first joke I did, was about uh, female hygiene commercials that would come on TV.
Okay.
Just how weird they were. And there was a panel of female judges uh, who hated it. Just word. They didn't let me finish. I wasn't even finished. I had to act out everything. And I think that was fair because everyone was singing and dancing and all that corny crap. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm actually speaking my mind, man. I'm different, man. So they wouldn't let me finish, which was corny as hell. But I'm glad they didn't because had they, I guess if I didn't bomb, I don't think one of my friends would have walked up to me and said, "Yo, that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. You should keep doing it."
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Because watching comedian bomb is one thing, but watching your friend bomb is another thing. I
Mm.
love watching my comedian friends eat a dick on stage. We all do. There's
Why?
nothing better than because there's nothing funnier because we're all expected to kill. Like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
all capable of killing, but
Sure.
just some nights when you just won't get them,
Yeah.
and there's some nights when it's not clicking, and you just they're tricks comics do to try to get out of a bad situation. And sometimes when you know what they're doing, like you just see them trying to do the tricks and it's not working, and you just go, "It's not working." It's so funny. On top of that, um, I think you know how funny an entertainer is by how they get out of a shitty situation like that.
Mm.
There's so many great comedians who will either bring it back around or take the audience right with them,
Yeah.
and I love both of them.
Yeah.
So watching a peer do that is just it's a spectacular thing to witness. So I think one of my friends felt that way, and I just kept doing it. But I didn't have any encouragement really, except for
Hmm.
some of my friends who would just drive me around
Yeah.
in Hyattsville, Maryland, in their cars and stuff, and we would drive to coffee shops, bars we couldn't really get into, or wherever they would have comedy. And we were just like a group of misfits trying to figure life out, dude.
Hmm.
So that was my life for like a year and a half in the DMV area.
And then what then said I want to do this acting thing? Like, how do you go from
Oh,
I know certain stand-ups, it's like stand up for life, like this is what I know, this is all I know. And then there are
mhm.
others who have that multifaceted, like, nah, I want to get in the acting game now. I think there's something here. Like, where was that spark?
Well, you can do all of it without, putting yourself in a box. I just felt like when I was 11, I mean, I've been in love with movies since Lion King. What was that, 94? When was Lion King? 90, I forget. But that was when I was like, wow. I remember my hmm, my earliest memory of being in the movie theater was probably Lion King. And I was just astounded
Hmm.
that experience. I just love being at movie theaters.
Yeah, yeah.
That's still kind of my sanctuary. I'm so happy they're still around post pandemic or post quarantine, and I feel like they just a safe space. And that's an ironic thing to say these days, that movie theaters are a safe
Safe space.
space,
Right.
because they are not. And but they are at the time. Like my dad kicked me out of the house one time. Almost every time my dad kicked me out of the house, I would go to the movie theater. The last time my dad kicked me out of the house, I went to go see Peter Jackson's King Kong,
Huh.
and that was a 3 hour or some movie. And I figured, all right, by the time this movie's over, I can figure my life out, and I did, because it's long as shit. That was cool.
Yeah.
But I think I wanted. I don't. I wanted to pursue acting after watching that movie, The Rock, with Nicolas Cage, which is actually ironically right. I got this on, I think, Etsy or something. It's one of my favorite movies.
Dope.
It's one of the dopest movies ever.
Nick
This movie's just
Cage.
great.
Yeah.
Nick Cage. And so that's when I was like, I want to do action movies.
Hmm.
They just look so fun.
Yeah.
And then I wrote a sequel to The Rock, but I knew there was no way of. It just felt like there was no way to do acting from my hometown. I was in Hyattsville. The only thing that was truly filming was The Wire in Baltimore, 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to audition for The Wire.
All right.
So I was like, well, it felt like there were too many, like, it's so much red tape to go be an actor. So I was like, what else could I do? And I knew I was funny. And I was like, maybe I remember I used to draw. So I was like, maybe I'll be a cartoonist or an illustrator. And I'm like, nah, I don't know how to draw, like, for the computers and stuff. I don't know how to do, I don't have any programs to illustrate or anything. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And there's so much, everything just, I didn't know how to do anything. I really didn't. I hated my high school because I didn't feel like they prepared me for anything at all. And
That's
I hated those people. Yeah, truly hated it. And I'm no joke. They tell me to, come talk to the school and talk to the students. And the days I'm like, hell yeah, come talk to the students. Other days I'm like, man, fuck that school. They ain't really do anything. And I think everybody feels that way sometimes about their high
Yep.
school. Dude, so we'll get back to that. But
Yeah.
there were two teachers that really spoke to me. One was my Japanese teacher, Miss Robertson,
Wait,
who
wait,
is
wait.
her name is.
Let's put a pause on that. You know how to speak Japanese?
I know how to write my name in Japanese a little bit, but as far as having a conversation,
Yeah.
that is a different story. Where is it at? This is my name in Japanese. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, now
But
I can.
it might be mirrored backwards. Yeah. So that says Jermaine.
Jamain. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jamain.
Yeah. It's in katakana, which is like taking foreign words and turning them to Japanese characters, blah blah blah. Anyway, so that teacher was amazing because her class was full of all the outcasts in school who loved anime,
Mhm.
and anyone who's interested in trying something completely new. But and a lot of my Japanese class students are still my friends today, and she is too. I still text her every now and then. She lives in Baltimore, ironically.
Hmm.
But yeah, she was always great. But then when I graduated, It's weird because like when I first started high school, I was a good student. I was a B student, and then when I graduated, C, maybe C, because that's when I realized I wasn't going to college. I just was like, what's the point?
What's
And
it? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
even I think the valedictorian of our high school had a tough time getting into a college, and it was really strange that everyone kind of felt just like, man,
Yeah.
it was the point, and that was definitely me. And then my neighbor Grady. It's gonna sound crazy, but like before I met Grady, I remember I was doing this probably goes back to the masculinity question, but I remember I was writing this essay for a college. I think it was Hampton
Okay.
University in Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
and I first applied to all the all black, the historically black
HBCUs.
colleges,
Yeah.
yeah, HBCUs, yeah. And I was like, "It take me, yeah, that's easy in, that's easy
Yeah.
in, man. I
Yeah.
already got one of the requirements, David."
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
I applied to Hampton, and I remember I was like, I was writing the essay, and I forgot what the subject was or what the topic was, and I just remember being stuck. Like, I don't know what to write about. I don't know. I've never done this before, and I didn't have any guidance. Like, no, I had none of my parents. My mom already left.
Mm-hmm.
My parents split up, and my dad was working a lot. And I remember I was in my room, and I just started crying, just like crying, because I just felt so like stuck and lost, and
Sure.
I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was 18,
Yeah.
and so my dad came in the room and was like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, "Cause I don't know what I'm doing, man." And then I was like, "I never written a college essay. I don't know what I'm writing." And then my dad looked at me. Then he started crying because he didn't
Wow.
go to college either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just crying, and I think we started laughing because we were like, "I ain't going to college." so so that was like one of the like few true bonding moments I had with my dad at that time period,
Hmm.
because we were all stressed out.
Sure.
My mom bounced, and they were going through something. Me and my siblings were trying to find a place to live, going back and forth to my mom and dad's house, and uh, it was just a strange time, man. We were all broke, and I think my neighbor Grady. I tell the story a lot, but they don't know that part. The part where I needed this moment in my life, because
Yeah.
it changed my life forever.
Okay.
I went to Grady's. Grady was like 4 doors down, maybe 3 doors down, and
Like.
and so and so I think I was walking past his door. His door was already open, and he said, "Hey, Jermaine." I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Um, your daddy said um you've been interested in doing stand up comedy lately," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm still trying to figure it out." And I think he gave me he gave me this thing. It was an Eddie Murphy Raw VHS tape,
Oh, amazing.
and
Yeah.
food and everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "What's this?" And he was like, "It's Eddie Murphy Raw." I knew who Eddie Murphy was because of Nutty Professor, and I mean Shrek, and what else? Everything my generation knew him for.
Sure.
And
Sure.
that's how cool Eddie is. Eddie's been just relevant for every generation.
Right.
It's just really, it's just perfect career. And so I remember I went home, I watched it for the first time, and I was astounded. It like blew me away. And that's an understatement. Then I watched it again,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow. I wouldn't stop watching it. And that's when it clicked. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm gonna do this.
Hmm.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And my friend Travis, who wanted to do it with me when we first started, his aunt was doing stand up comedy, and her name's Cassandra, and she was so sweet. She got us into these comedy courses in DC. They were taught by this guy named Fat Cat, and Fat Cat had a couple I guess stand up comedy seminars or whatever, and he taught us one equation. One equation was I remember it was simplification plus exaggeration equals comedy. That's what he taught us. And
Hmm.
as a kid coming out of school, you're just like, wow, that is masterful. I did all the things open you do your first year in comedy. You try a course, or you go get book, a comedy book. I got the Comedy Bible by Judy Carter. I think that was her name.
Okay.
And the back of it had all the comedy clubs around the nation. You could call, email, or whatever. I called all of them. I wasn't even ready. And I sent a tape into the DC Improv, a terrible tape. I don't even want to talk about it. Uh, and then I was out. I went out to go do clubs around the area. The first show, official show at a non-venue I did was next door of my job. I used to work at Zips Dry Cleaners, and next door was a music studio.
Huh.
And it said they had a banner on their window they had for like a year. And I remember that banner never came down. And the banner said, "Looking for talent." And I was like, I'm talent.
Yeah.
And I knocked on the doors in this basement, knocked on the door, and they opened it. "Hey, what's up?" I was like, "Hey, I'm Jermaine." He goes, "Oh, my name's Jermaine." I'm like, "That's cool. That's cool. It's meant to be."
Yeah.
So listen, I see your banner, so you look for talent. And he goes, "Oh, that banner about a couple years old, man. We just never took it down." And I was like, "Oh." He said, "What you do? You a rapper?" I was like, Nah, I'm a comedian. I'm a comedian." And he goes, "Oh, well, we are a recording studio, man." I was like, all right. But he said, come in. I was like, all right, cool. Came in and they were recording some tracks. This Caribbean artist named Saiba was recording something. And he was like, "Yo, I want to hear your jokes." I'm like, I was nervous. I was like, "Wow, I don't really do them. Like,
Right.
I need a crowd." And he was like, "All right, why don't you come back tomorrow? We'll get a crowd for you. You do your jokes." And I'm like,
Wow.
"Okay."
Wow.
So yeah, so all my homies, I told all my homies in my apartment complex, and it was a big apartment complex. It's like 11 stories, 11 floors, and it's big. It's like the PJs, but not that bad. So
Sure.
anyway, yeah. And so I told all my homies I play football with in the building and basketball with all my childhood dudes. I was like, "Yo, I'm doing a comedy show in College Park, Maryland." And they're like, "All right, cool." So we all went to College Park, which is where I work. So we walked to College Park, and it was like 11 of us, like 11 us, just like walking to like it was a nice part of town too. So like anytime we went there, we would always get eyes and people saying and shit because we were rough. We were like we caused a lot of ruckus. So anyway, went there, did the show. I remember I was just doing jokes about Birdman and Lil Wayne. And it killed. I did a good job. It was dope. I did jokes about Lil Wayne's tattoos or something like that, and it was cool. And they were like, "Yo, come back, man! You got to record some skits for Cyber's album." I'm like, "All right, cool." And that was like my first gig and my first show. After that, I was off to the races. I was like, "I'm gonna be a big star." And then I started doing real comedy shows, and I was eating a dick on stage, man, dying. Any jokes. I wasn't talking about anything that was important to me. Just stuff I thought other people were laughing at. And then my dad kicked me out of the house. And that was the most important time in my life, I think, when my dad kicked me out. Because I knew something had to happen.
Yeah.
Something had to work out.
The low point. Yeah.
I left. Yeah. I went to go see King Kong. And I came back and was like, I was like, damn, do I go to New York? Because I've always wanted to go to New York. Maybe I'll go to New York. So I thought maybe I moved to New York and maybe bum it out there and see if I can make it. But I decided to stay with my grandmother, which was perfect because she was so patient with me and the sweetest person. I named my company after her because she helped me a lot. And so
what's your grandmother's name?
Dolores.
Oh, that's my mom's middle name. Okay.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. How old is your mom, if you don't mind me asking?
68.
68. It's such a generational name. Like you don't meet a lot of Doloreses these. Yeah, right. It's a great name.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of how I started in a nutshell. There's a lot of craziness that comes with it.
I'm not that I'm sure, and I'm sure there's a lot of stories and jokes and insights that go along with it too. I'm curious because for me, I talk about this all the time with comedians. I'm fascinated, the good ones. I'm fascinated with the complexity that comedians have, where you have somebody like a Jim Carrey, you have somebody like an Eddie Murphy, where stand up on that stage, kill it, right? But then they can go dramatic, and it's like some of the best dramatic performances you've ever seen, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, you can do that? Or Jamie Foxx, another one comes to mind. You can do that? and then I look or I listen to backstories and, you know, some of these documentaries, and now hearing your story, and, you know, and some of which I know already, but, you know, how you were raised, and some of the circumstances you were put under. I feel as though the really good comedians, there's some, I don't want to say comedy is kind of like this mask to keep away from like some of the darker things or some of the trauma, but I can't think of a better phrase or term to use. But I almost feel like comedy is this it's this vehicle to get out of that. It's to get out of some of those darker times. It's to get out of some of those traumatic moments. It's
Mm-hmm.
because you also speak, you know, again, you speak to what's happening in real life, and to your point of that formula, you put it in a simple form, you exaggerate it. Sometimes you don't have to exaggerate it. Sometimes that's just what it is, and voila, you have the you know, the secret sauce for comedy. But, you know, again, in hearing your story, and then, you know, I know some things that, you know, did take place with you recently, and you and I even talked. I think to even get you on here, we started talking about mental health, and you're like, yeah, I'm into that, and, you know, I'm starting to work on myself, and um, you know, there's a lot. I feel like with comedians, there's always a lot to unpack, and I feel, you know, recently I don't want to, you know, I don't want to go deep if these
Listen, I've
if,
been in mental health before it was a buzzword. You know what I'm saying? I've been into
same.
that since, yeah.
I mean, I've
But
been
so
a
now that
yeah.
everyone's,
Go ahead.
yeah, now that everybody's into it, I don't feel like I should be into it no more. I feel like a fad. I'm just joking. I'm just playing. I'm just
We're
playing. Yeah,
done.
fuck mental health,
Yeah.
man. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking. Everybody's into it now,
Yeah.
man. Fuck. No, I'm just playing. But
Fuck
no,
it. Yeah.
yeah. Look, when I first, I love that. I love what you said about like comics who delve into drama, darker sort of spaces,
Yeah.
because drama and comedy, they coexist. You really don't appreciate a laugh until you've earned it. You
Yeah.
really got to earn that laugh, and that comes with what momentum and storytelling and
Yeah.
suspense. And
Yeah.
some of the best some of the best comedies come from really dark movies.
Mm.
Warren Brothers, I mean, Tarantino got some huge laughs from me. Uh, but you have just raw comedies that just don't that are so irreverent
Yeah.
and do what it wants to do, and I love those as well. I think I think some of my favorite dramatic actors are comedians, and I think some of my favorite comedians are dramatic. Like who Leslie Nielsen was a soap opera actor,
Really?
and yes, yeah, Leslie
I
Nielsen was a
wasn't aware.
serious actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a dramatic actor. And then I don't know what happened that he turned into Frank
Right.
from Naked Gun,
Right.
but Naked Gun and Airplane, those movies, come on, man.
Yeah.
And they play him so straight.
Yeah.
And that's why it works, because you play it so dramatic that the lines just hit harder, and they have so much more feeling to them because you just play it so real. And that's what Leslie he mastered. Robin Williams, Whoopi Goldberg,
Yeah.
Billy
Yeah.
Crystal,
Wow.
Eddie, fuck,
Yeah.
Richard fucking Pryor. God damn. Just like just like the just just talented, just utterly talented entertainers, dude. They can do anything. But I've always said, if you're a comedian and you have a curiosity about acting, really entertain that.
Yeah.
I think it's helped me out in a lot of ways. The acting and my stand up, they do a good job of kind of feeding off each other. And I think my timing's gotten better as an actor because of my stand up. And I feel like um, my stand up comedy has gotten a little more meaningful and a little deeper because of the acting.
Hmm.
So I think I think they benefit from each other immensely.
Do you feel like it's somewhat cathartic for you? Like I always try to understand, from a comedian, again, from a comedian's perspective, and some of the greats that you've mentioned. I feel like you all, it's your purpose to give everyone else so much joy, and at the same time,
Mhm.
you mentioned Robin Williams, and he was dealing with mental health challenges, right?
Mhm.
Things we probably couldn't fathom, like how could a man this happy and give so much joy and resonate so much, just radiant positive energy, go into that deep dark place where he couldn't pull himself out of it. How do you and I'm asking you personally because, again, you do the same, you're doing the same, and I know there's some things that happened recently, with your mom and with a close friend of yours, in the comedic community as well. And I know you had to go through some things and process some things, and just with
Yeah.
mental health in general. How do you do that? How do you give everybody else joy? Where do you bring that to yourself, or when does it come back to you that it almost feels selfless? You know what I mean? It almost feels selfless, like you're giving. Are you giving to yourself? And I'm asking, you,
Oh,
Jermaine.
dude, trust me. There have been when all that crap was happening,
Yeah.
there was a couple years when I didn't feel like giving a shit to anybody.
Hmm.
Even my partner. I didn't want
Hmm.
to give her anything. I didn't. I was angry. I was out of it. I was out of it. I was unavailable in so many ways, and it was troubling. And so I didn't want to go on stage. I didn't want to eat.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live, dude. Like I was just like, this life.
Yeah.
Like when you hit 30, it's so crazy because when 30 hits, it's like, oh man, you're thinking like, man, it's gonna be great, man. I'm gonna be these are my homies. I got a kid now, and
Yeah.
my mom's gonna meet my kid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fly out here,
Yeah.
and then boom, uh, and then your best friend, some shit happens, man. And I just never had everything happen like that all at once. It was a lot, and it changed who I was, and I didn't like that. And I wanted to. I think what helped me get out of that rut was therapy, of course,
Hmm.
but also a really dope community of people, um, people who I could relate to in regards to similar situations that they were going through. That helped a lot. And after kind of gathering myself a bit, which was necessary, I feel like if I were to jump right back into what I was doing, I don't think it would have been healthy for me.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing I think people need to realize. Like, it's okay to take time for yourself and go away, step back,
Yeah.
reassess,
Yeah.
decompress, all that shit, and figure out what you need and what you want to do. The more I feel you put yourself second, it could kind of cloud judgment, and you're not putting you know your priorities kind of get a little um unbalanced a bit. And so i'm I'm just glad I could recognize that. And I've always tried to take time for myself. I mean, even me and Kevin would joke about that. Like, I always point it back here because
Yeah.
that's Kevin's arm. That's like Kevin right here. So, like he's here. I'm like, Kevin, like, man, he's dead, right? I'm like, yeah, I know he's dead. So, he, we would jokingly talk about quitting Hollywood to go move into the woods
Hmm.
because as a joke, but like we would talk about that because we knew there were just other things we wanted to accomplish in life.
Yeah.
There were just other. This was so small compared to how big the world and my life was.
Yeah.
And so we would jokingly talk about, man, why are we in these writers' rooms? Why are we auditioning so much for why are we breaking our backs for people who don't care about us in this industry? Like, why do we care so much? Like, when we could go hunt deer.
Right.
Like, we were jokingly talking about like, going getting farms, like going living in beach towns and like just growing dreadlocks, shit like that. You know what I mean? So, but we were actively just like we knew we wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we love this so much. Like, we love this so much. I love this so much, so much. And I've never been more passionate about anything in my life. I love making art. I love doing this. But
Yeah.
I do realize when there are times when I'm feeling like I need a break, when I need to step away, when I need to leave the city for just a weekend or something, I have to
Hmm.
fucking go do it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be my best self. That's not how I
Yeah.
work. That's never been how I worked. I've always felt I'm better when I can go to a different place, go meet other people, go do something I've never done before. That just recharges me, and
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about all the time. And it's just ironic. That's what he was doing
Mm.
when when he when he passed.
Yeah.
So it was I feel like if we're all going through shit, we're all going through something. Everybody, I'm no different than you. You're no different than me. We're all got something that we're going through. I just felt like that's why I wanted to get back into stand up, was because of that. Everyone's got a story to tell. Everyone's got their own shit, and
Yeah.
I felt I can connect to people on that level um, um, through some jokes. Do some jokes about it,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's connected me to the audience a lot more than I used to, because I just feel kind of, I don't know. I feel more full as a person. I just feel like a more of a person now. When I would go on stage, I just felt like before I would just like, you know, this is funny. But now I'm just like, I need to talk about this. I need to get this off
Yeah.
my chest. So that's been kind of the difference the past couple years, actually.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. One thing you brought up, um, also it kind of ties into this one little nugget, um, which resonated in your movie, the latest role. Let's do a little segue here, into your
Yeah.
latest movie, The Drop,
Hmm.
where you know there's something I can't remember. Anyway, there's a character, Robbie, that asks you, how are you doing? And you follow up and
Wow.
you're like, we don't ask men how they're
Yeah.
doing. And,
Yeah.
that's the check-in. It's something I spoke with,
Yeah.
I spoke with a few folks, in the past, in past interviews about like the man check-in, and more folks, especially during the, quarantine and all of that, started doing those check-ins. Um, I mean, I look, there are a whole lot of reasons why a lot of men don't do it. And thankfully, there are a lot of good reasons now why
What are
men,
the reasons you think? What are the reasons?
why they don't.
Yeah.
I think we've been taught, for me in particular, it's
Hmm.
something taught in a previous generation or two, where we're just always supposed to suck it up. Suck it up, buttercup. Just hold it all inside. And, you hold all of that pressure, I mean, metaphor, to a bottle, right? You put these bubbles in a bottle, you shake it up, you shake it up, you shake it up, you're trying to contain it, you're trying to contain it. At some point it's going to blow. It's going to have to release. And unfortunately, in previous generations, I mean, I can speak to my dad specifically. I mean, he would rage out, uh, nonstop arguing, go on a, binge drinking, go do some things he shouldn't have been,
Some spontaneous shit. Yeah, man. Hmm.
spontaneous outlets, spontaneous things that become vices. So there's a lot of spontaneous things, you do it over and over again and they become a vice. Alcoholism or gambling or whatever the case may be, just a lot of verbal abuse upon the family, because you don't know, you were never taught, how do I channel this energy? How do I manage my emotions? How do I yeah, how do I manage myself? It's like, I'm thankful with our generation, there are these conversations where we have to, what you alluded to before, it's taking care of yourself first in a parenting role. Like, that's one of the biggest things I've learned so far, being a dad, is if I don't take care of me,
You
I
are
will
you mean you're no good to
I am no
anybody,
good.
man.
And there will be a lot of things that I will project onto my daughter that may be traumatic, that may be the same things that were projected on me, which took a lot of a lot of work.
A lot of podcast episodes.
Yeah.
A
Exactly.
lot of podcasts.
Exactly. To unlearn
I
and
know what you
just
mean.
relearn some,
Yeah,
some healthy ways and healthy habits.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's, that's like the simple
yeah,
answer.
yeah. And you know what's funny? I hope people realize that, like, just because you went through that as a kid,
Mhm.
that I think that's also important to kind of, I don't know, the word embrace is the right word, but a lot of people, now that you've seen it and you want to address it and reconfigure it, I think that's also just as important as, you know, dude, you've
Absolutely.
gone through it, and you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I think that the experience in that, what we went through is, my dad was not much of a. He was very religious,
Mm.
still is, and at times I feel like there are people who use that as a scapegoat,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, yeah.
to do things they shouldn't do,
Yeah.
and also I think that's a scapegoat for people who don't know how to communicate and want to communicate. Let's pray to God about it.
Right.
Let's go to church. He'll fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, God gave us brains and two working eyes, hands, and a mouth, and to do this on our own.
Right.
I think he's gone. I think God
Right.
left a long time ago, and he's we're he left us this for us. You know what I'm saying? Can we talk? Can I talk to you?
Yeah.
Um, and I've always I never understood that, and I was raised super like uber Christian, and
You and me both. Wow. That's yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I've seen the downside of entrusting so much
Yeah.
into, you know, and I'm like, I'm right here, like your son is right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Right.
Your kids are right here. Can we have a connection?
Yeah.
You seem to be more connected with God than you are with your kids, and you think it's not okay. Like, I don't think that's okay at all. At all. I don't think it's selfish. Like, it's super, like, to be like, to there was I remember there were these moments when, like, my mom and dad split up, and we would pray every night about it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, why? Clearly, some it's not working. You know, either you're not meant to be, or you figure something new out and have a have a dialogue about it. But it's it didn't feel like it was a healthy way to go about that situation at all. To just say, let's gather in a circle, hold hands, and pray mom back home. I'm like, what are we praying her back home for? It's going to be the same situation. Can we fix the home before
Right.
we she comes back? Otherwise, it's going to keep happening.
Right.
So I'm nothing against religious people at all. I just feel like they're I was just raised in a house where, like, it was just so prominent in the household that I didn't feel like I was important, or what I was going through was important, or what uh the things that needed to be dealt with weren't being dealt with because
You prayed away.
you know
Prayed away.
all the way
Yeah.
prayed all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing when people say when they want to check in. Oh, the whole man check-in thing um, might be super feminine to a lot of dudes. It might be unnecessary to a lot of dudes because they got God.
Yeah.
It might be it might be a bit just unnatural for a lot of guys too to be checked in. 'Cause you got to think about how they grew up. Maybe no one cared about them and how, you know, what their well-being was. And so when someone does that, reacts the way they react when, hey man, you good? And they go, what, you gave something? You know, that could
Yeah.
be just
Yeah.
them crying out for help, like, oh, thank you. Like,
Yeah.
please, can you please keep, I don't mean that. Do you, so I keep doing it. And I feel like, the more, um, I think, I think we should make that a bit more of a thing. Is this, how you doing? How was your day? Not even just for your friends. I think I say what's up to people at the grocery store, on my dog walks, anywhere I go. Yo, nice, nice shoes. Where you get them from, man? Blah blah blah. Actually, having a dog really opened up a lot of conversations for me
Hmm.
with people on the street and shit. And I feel
Sure.
like, yeah, man. I don't know. I just feel like, we shouldn't stop at just people we know. I think you
Yeah.
never know how impactful a hello or a how you doing to anybody could be, because we're all got some. Everyone's got their own shit they're going through, and I think to be to know that you're cared about and that someone's thinking about you in any way possible, in any way, would be makes me feel not so, you know alone in all this shit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And in doing so, conversely, hopefully that's what you just did for that other person that you spoke to, that you gave a compliment to, that you said hi to, that saw your dog, that put a smile on their face, so on and so forth. I mean, this whole, for me, on a zoom out macro level, we're all connected. This is all one big human community, and we're all connected. So in order to lift each other up, we're lifting ourselves up. And if we're lifting ourselves up, we're lifting each other up. And it is one to one. So, the simple the simplest thing, be kind to other people and yourself. It's a truism. It's a truism. Yeah, as simple as it sounds. That's
yeah,
the, that's
yeah.
one of
But you
those.
start with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, start with yourself, man. I always feel like, someone asked me, if I had any New Year's resolutions, and I was like, nah. I take it a day at a time, dude.
Mm,
What can you do today to make tomorrow even better? But
mm,
start with today. Just worry about that, and don't overwhelm yourself with trying to change the world. You know what I mean? Like, and you can work on changing yourself first, and your habits and how you react and
mm.
respond and treat people. Start there, and I think it. I'm hoping it has a domino effect.
I love that. I love that. Um, Last thing I want to ask you
Mhm.
before we get out of here is, you're alluding to taking care of yourself, and I'm a huge believer in that. Is there any things that you do from a wellness perspective? No wrong answers, but anything you do for your mind, your body, physical, that
Yeah,
is just grounding. That's your, I like
yeah,
to say anchor. Well, I actually took it from The Rock,
yeah.
but whatever. It's your anchor of, of how you ground yourself on a daily basis, that has you mentally fit or spiritually fit or physically fit, and they all play
Wow.
on one another.
Yeah, I like to stay connected to my childhood.
Hmm.
That's one thing I do. Going back and watching old Nickelodeon cartoons, or um, things that would make me happy, keep that inner child sort of
Yeah.
nice and fed
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Uh,
I love that.
most of the time I try to meditate, and I know for a lot of people, when I recommend that to them, they get confused. So you just sit there for what, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and just, oh yeah, what do you do?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's exactly what you do. You do nothing. You do nothing and focus on your breathing for 10 minutes, and you try and do that as long as you can. Do it longer and longer. Do it twice a day. I try
Yeah.
to do it like before I go to bed, and when I wake up, I try to do that if I truly need it. But I do it, and that helps a great amount. I've been filling my room up with, flowers and fresh aromas, eucalyptus and cherry
Yeah.
blossoms and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I love nature. I I forgot how much I love nature. I was like, You know what I mean? Like you live in a city, you just like, yeah, I'll just this smog is fine.
Yeah.
I'll deal with it. You know, you just kind of we sacrifice so much as people, and I think we need to give some stuff back, or take some stuff back. I think what I wanted to take back was being around flowers and nature.
Yeah.
When I moved to New York and LA, I'm from Maryland, so like I was near the woods a lot, and I missed that smell, that just that fresh smell of being and just around animals and the backwoods and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So uh, I don't know what it is, but it just brings me back home. So I wanted to fill the house up with sort of similar smells, and that really it changes my attitude like
Mm-hmm.
almost instantly.
It's
Smells can do that, yeah.
yeah.
And I also just try to go to the beach every Sunday.
Dope.
I go to the beach every Sunday.
Dope.
Yeah, waves crashing. They help move the mind a little bit, keep it
Absolutely.
going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, it's so kinetic. I fucking love the beach, and I do jujitsu. I do
Oh,
jujitsu.
that's right. Yeah. How's that been
Yeah,
going?
we did 10 rounds yesterday.
Whew.
We did 10 8-minute
Mm.
rounds with all different partners, and it was a beautiful experience. It was my second time doing it, and this is the first time I finished it because it's hard,
Congrats.
and
Congrats.
I
Yeah.
was
That's
very proud of
oh,
myself. Thanks, man. Yeah, I
yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, I'm super proud of myself, and I'm not even that sore, so I think I was doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm going back later. That's been a huge factor in me staying grounded, was being around people who aren't necessarily in this industry,
Yeah.
are just working class, badass, like people who live honest, working, beautiful lives and just want to learn a martial art that is so inherently kind of strange in a way and yet brutal
Yeah.
and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, it's a cool group of like-minded individuals who I just like being around. So I think that helped too. Kind of refreshed. It kind of just was like super endearing, but also was refreshing to be around a different group of people
Yeah.
who weren't actors or comedians, and I thought that was cool. I haven't felt like that since I started like skateboarding when I was in high
Huh.
school.
Yeah.
Just like a group of misfits who just like want to continue to get better and learn this very unique sport, and that it brought me back to a simpler, more curious time in my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I like staying connected to it.
Damn, dude. There, we're we're gonna talk again on this mic. I
Okay.
I got to get you back because there are so many things that you just brought up that we still haven't scratched the surface on with each other.
No, yeah.
There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similar experiences and a
Oh
lot of
wow. Okay.
interests. Yeah, bro. Like you mentioned skateboarding. You mentioned
Hmm.
the nature and the connectedness and the beach. I was a beach boy in my soul in New York. That was half the reason why I came out to LA was because of the
Wow,
beach.
yo, same, same.
There's
I lived in New York for 8 years, man. I wanted to see a beach. Like I just wanted that. Yeah, that stereotypical like rocket power life. I was like,
yeah.
man, I gotta be in Venice.
Yeah. That and oh my god, and what you're talking about with nature, I mean that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And whew, all right, we're gonna do a part 2 on that. Because I could just
Yeah,
keep
I'm
rolling
down.
with you, brother. Look, people, make sure you stay connected with Jermaine. Stay connected with him on Instagram, Jermaine Fowler, Fowler, and make sure you are watching the drop on Hulu now streaming. It's dope. It's funny. It'll
Thank
it'll
you. Thank
it'll it'll mess with your head in the best way possible.
you. It's psychological comedy, man. That's what I
It
call
is.
it.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I love that. Um,
Thank
yeah, brother. So look forward to the next conversation. And folks, in the meantime, don't forget to tell another brother, king, or queen about man to man so we can keep the wellness revolution going. And if you're liking what you're hearing, give us those 5 stars, leave us a review. You've been so kind to the show. You've brought it to prominence. You're the reason why this thing keeps going. And if you want to hear me connect with somebody in particular on Man to Man, hit me up on my IG at Wasicki, WASICKI. Till next week, peace, love, and stay connected, fam.